Welcome to Forgotten Civilization, where the echoes of lost worlds rise once more. Today we ascend the ancient temple of the Sun Lords, Mississippi's mighty Emerald Mound. Hidden among the rolling hills and dense canopies of Natchez, Mississippi, stands one of North America's most magnificent yet mysterious prehistoric monuments. The Emerald Mound, a colossal earthwork built by the ancestors of the Natchez people nearly 1,000 years ago. To modern eyes, it appears as a grassy plateau rising out of the woods, silent and still, but long before the first Europeans glimpsed its green slopes. This sacred mound was alive with ritual fire music and the rhythmic pulse of a civilization that worshipped the sun. Stretching over 770 feet long and 435 feet wide, and standing more than 35 feet high, Emerald Mound is the second largest ceremonial earthwork in the United States, surpassed only by Cahokia's Monk's Mound in Illinois. Yet unlike the stone temples of the Old World, this monument was shaped entirely from earth, moved basket by human hands that labored not for conquest, but for communion with the cosmos. Around 1250 CE, when medieval Europe was still building cathedrals of stone, the people of the lower Mississippi Valley were building cathedrals of soil. They aligned their world to the heavens, creating a cosmic landscape where leadership, spirituality, and astronomy intertwined. Atop Emerald Mound once stood smaller platform mounds, 2 in total, supporting temples and the residences of high-ranking nobles and priests. These structures, likely constructed of wattle and daub, glowed with sacred fires that represented the eternal flame of the sun, the divine essence of the Natchez world. The people who built Emerald Mound were direct cultural ancestors of the Natchez Nation, one of the most sophisticated chiefdoms encountered by early European explorers. To the Natchez, the sun was more than a celestial body. It was a deity, a living force that governed the order of the universe. Their ruler, known as the Great Sun, was both king and god figure, the living embodiment of solar power on Earth. When the Great Sun spoke, it was said that the light itself bent to his will. Emerald Mound was not merely a residence, it was the temple of the Sun Lords, a physical manifestation of divine hierarchy. From its summit, ceremonies would have been visible for miles, signaling the people of the valley to gather, give offerings, and renew their covenant with the heavens. The air would have been thick with the scent of burning cedar, the sound of drums echoing against the river bluffs, and the chant of priests marking the passage of the sun across the sky. Every mound, every terrace, was part of a cosmological blueprint, a sacred geography linking earth and sky, life and death, ruler and people. The mound's immense size hints at a population capable of extraordinary organization and devotion. Archaeologists estimate that it took hundreds of workers decades to complete, their efforts coordinated by a priestly elite who understood not only the physical demands of construction, but also the spiritual weight of each layer of soil. Each section of the mound represented renewal, an offering to the gods. The base symbolized the earth's fertile body, while the upper platforms were the domain of the divine. In building Emerald Mound, the people were recreating their universe in miniature, a sacred axis that united the realms of the living and the spirits of the ancestors. Surrounding the mound were villages, gardens, and smaller ceremonial spaces, forming a complex socio-political landscape that sustained thousands. Trade routes connected them to other Mississippian centers across the southeast, where copper from the Great Lakes, shells from the Gulf, and obsidian from the Ozarks all flowed through a network of commerce and culture. By the time Hernando de Soto's expedition crossed the southeast in the 1540s, the Natchez and their ancestors had long maintained their religious and political systems. The Natchez hierarchy was unique among North American societies, divided into sons, nobles, honored people, and commoners. The Great Sun and his family lived atop the highest mounds, their elevated position symbolizing not only their authority, but also their closeness to the gods. Their temples contained sacred fires that were never allowed to die, tended continuously by priests as a symbol of life's eternal cycle. The sun, for the Natchez, was the source of creation and order. To honor it was to maintain harmony in both the natural and spiritual worlds. During festivals, priests performed rituals timed to solstices and equinoxes, ensuring that the Great Sun's rule was aligned with cosmic order. The great sun was also believed to descend from the first man and woman created by the sun itself, the divine ancestors who established the sacred lineage that governed Natchez life. When the French colonists arrived in the late 1600s, they were astonished by the Natchez's refined culture and pomp. They marveled at the temples of the sun, where fire burned perpetually, and offerings of maize, animal pelts, and crafted ornaments were presented to the divine. But European colonization would bring tragedy. The French, seeking dominance over the Mississippi Valley, clashed with the Natchez, leading to war and the eventual destruction of their cities in the early 18th century. By 1731, the Natchez kingdom had fallen, its survivors scattered or enslaved, and the sacred fires of Emerald Mound extinguished. Yet the mound itself endured, silent but unbroken, its green slopes preserving the memory of a civilization that once lived in balance with the cosmos. Modern archaeology has revealed layers of meaning within Emerald Mound that go beyond mere architecture. Soil studies and excavations have uncovered traces of burned clay, ash, and charcoal, remnants of temples that once crowned its summit, artifacts found nearby, pottery fragments, stone tools, shell beads, speak of daily life intertwined with ritual purpose. The builders of Emerald Mound were not primitive laborers but engineers, artists, and astronomers who understood geometry, astronomy, and social harmony in profound ways. The mound's alignment with celestial events suggests that it functioned as a kind of earthbound observatory, a sacred instrument marking the sun's path and the cycle of the seasons. To the people of the Mississippi Valley, time itself was sacred, and their monuments reflected that timeless rhythm. Today, Emerald Mound stands as a National Historic Landmark, protected and preserved as part of the Natchez Trace Parkway. But its story remains little known beyond the borders of Mississippi. Visitors who climb its gentle slopes often describe a sense of peace, even reverence, as they gaze across the tree-covered valley. It is as if the land itself remembers. Beneath their feet lies the accumulated labor of generations, a physical testament to human faith and endurance. Standing there, one can almost hear the echoes of drums, the chants of the priests, and the crackle of sacred fires that once blazed atop the mound. The wind that sweeps across its summit carries whispers of the Sun Lords, rulers who believed that to govern wisely was to live in harmony with the universe. As we uncover the story of the Emerald Mound, we are reminded that history is not only written in books or carved in stone. Sometimes it is molded in earth, soft, silent, and eternal. The mound builders of Mississippi left no written language, yet their message endures in the very landscape they shaped. It speaks of reverence, unity, and the eternal dance between humanity and nature. The Temple of the Sun Lords was not just a monument to power. It was a prayer in earth form, an offering to the heavens that still endures after centuries of wind and rain. To look upon it today is to glimpse the grandeur of a forgotten civilization that once walked in rhythm with the cosmos, whose faith and artistry turned mere soil into sacred space. Emerald Mound is more than a hill of dirt. It is a living chronicle of devotion, ingenuity, and the unyielding human spirit. The fires of the Sun Lords may have faded, but their spirit still glows within these sacred hills. Subscribe to Forgotten Civilization, where the earth still remembers its forgotten kings.